Sleep, together with food and water, is essential for our survival and allows the body to recover physical and mental energies. Experts recommend adults to sleep between 7 and 9 hours a night so that they wake up refreshed and ready to face a new day. Lack of sleep can cause chronic fatigue, decreased attention and concentration, as well as being responsible for the onset of various diseases. Many of us have experienced the effects of sleep deprivation, perhaps spending a whole night studying or dancing in the disco until the morning, between loud music and rivers of alcohol. The next day we will feel sleepy, lazy, and irritable. But what happens when the sleepless nights pile up and become first 2, then 4, up to 11? This is the story of Randy Gardner, and in this video I will tell you about his crazy experiment. It was December 28, 1963, when 2 high school students from San Diego, named Randy Gardner and Bruce McAllister, came up with an idea for their school project that they were to present at the science fair. The 2 boys wanted to see how long one of them could stay awake in order to record any side effects. After flipping a coin, they determined that it was Randy Gardner's turn to stay awake, while Bruce McAllister should have been monitoring him. However, their naivety immediately emerged because watching Randy 24 hours a day meant that not even Bruce could sleep. So a third person was needed. They recruit a friend of theirs, Joe Marciano, so that they can alternate with Bruce and never let Randy be awake alone. Dr. William Dement, a sleep researcher at Stanford University, also participated in the experiment. Today, he is often regarded as the American father of sleep medicine, as he was a leading authority on sleep, particularly the effects of sleep deprivation and sleep disorders. For Randy, the first 2 days were pretty easy. He just had to stay away from the bed and stand up as much as possible to avoid the risk of falling asleep. On the 3rd day, Randy began to experience the first effects of sleep deprivation: nausea, difficulty speaking, and difficulty focusing objects. His senses of taste, smell, and hearing began to fade. On the 4th day, Randy started to get uncoordinated and quite emotional, with severe mood swings. During the day, he tried to keep himself busy playing basketball, bowling, and pinball with his friends, but his biggest problem was when night came. The night hours were more demanding, and after 5 days he began to hallucinate and develop paranoia. He was convinced that in a room in front of him, there was a forest. Keeping eyes open had become torture for Randy. The project became an experiment that captured worldwide attention, becoming the most written story in the American national press, following the assassination of John F. Kennedy and a visit from the Beatles. As the days went by, Randy's cognitive and sensory abilities began to suffer. Randy complained of moodiness, problems with concentration, and short-term memory. He felt like he had early Alzheimer's. The 10th day, Randy even managed to beat Dement at pinball. For fear of Randy falling asleep, they had to watch him even when he went to the bathroom and tried to keep him awake by talking from behind the door. On the 11th day, Randy was asked to start from number 100 and start subtracting 7 repeatedly. He stopped at 65, and when asked why he had stopped, he replied that he had forgotten what he was doing. In the end, Randy was able to stay awake for a full 11 days and 25 minutes for a total of 264.4 hours. He had just broken the existing world record for the longest time spent without sleep, surpassing that held by Tom Rounds, who stayed awake for 260 hours. After the experiment, he did not go to bed immediately, but first had to give a press conference about his experience. He could still speak without mistaking words, and in general he seemed to be in good health. He was later transported to a naval hospital so that doctors could conduct an electroencephalogram to study his brain waves. Only then was he allowed to go to bed, where he slept for 14 hours and 40 minutes. Doctors found that his first night's REM sleep was about 70%, when a normal person with an 8-hour sleep cycle only had 25% REM sleep. After a week, his REM sleep rate returned to normal. The next day, it went like nothing was in high school, and of course Randy and his friends won the science fair. Randy did not seem to show any particular negative consequences after the long period of sleep deprivation, although several years later he began to suffer from insomnia, and still today he is convinced that the cause is his teenage experiment. According to some reports, Randy Gardner's record has been broken several times, but the Guinness World Record has stopped recording sleep deprivation records because it is too dangerous for health.